to the BJack 70 show. I'm your host, Brandon Jackson, and congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks on winning Super Bowl 60. Seattle won 29 to 13, a little bit off, not too much, but a little bit off from my prediction. 19 to 13, they won 29 to 13. So I was spot on with the Patriots, but just a little bit off with the Seahawks. Seahawks did a little bit better than I thought, but they covered. They hit the under. The total hit the under. So got a couple wins there. My Super Bowl MVP bet of Jackson Smith and Jigba did not come to fruition, but hey, 2 out of 3 is not bad, especially when you're trying to pick one out of 106 people on the roster between two teams. It's gonna be difficult to pick one. So, we didn't pick Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker was Super Bowl MVP. Shout out to him. But yeah, so pretty good, pretty good betting weekend overall for the Super Bowl. But man, that was a dominating performance. Absolutely dominating performance from Seattle's defense. New England, respect to their defense. Absolute respect to their defense, but honestly, to be fair, both of these offenses struggled mightily. And I know Seattle put up 29 points, but it was 5 field goals. It was a defensive touchdown. So, not a lot to really write home about on offense from Seattle side, but they got the dub, and they got the dub in convincing fashion. So let's just go over a couple of things of what happened on Sunday. Like I said, Seattle 29, New England 13. Drake May was sacked 7 times. Will Campbell was the main story coming out of the game. I feel like, maybe the number one thing that you think of when you come out of that game is Seattle's defense as a whole. Number 2 is probably how bad Will Campbell was. According to Next Gen Stats, Will Campbell gave up 14 pressures, which was by far the most in the football game. It was tough, especially for an offensive lineman seeing one of our own just get dominated on a national stage like that. It was tough to watch, tough to see. And there's a lot being made now about his short arms. He had short arms coming into the league as a prospect, which kind of made him fall down some people's boards, but not the Patriots. They still took him at 4. I need to really go over the film, but I'm not sure. The length of his arms is going to impact, how he performed. But it's not a precursor to him not being a good left tackle in the future. Everybody's, I fell victim to it. I was on Twitter last night. I said he needs to start studying Zach Martin and Quentin Nelson tape at guard. But I think, he's still young enough. He's a rookie. There's still an opportunity for him to play tackle in the NFL. He's going to have to, get his work right in the offseason, but I still think he can be a good left tackle in this league. But he had a rough go. He had a rough go this whole playoff run. The Texans dominated him. Broncos weren't. I don't think they were able to get a sack in that game. But it took a Herculean effort from that Patriots offensive line. And in this game, no, my bad. Bring that back. Drake, like I don't know. I don't have it pulled up. I'm not even thinking about the Broncos game right now. I don't know how many times he got sacked, but he got sacked 7 times against the Seahawks. And it wasn't just Will Campbell, it was the left guard, the left side of the offensive line had a rough go of it. And when Drake did get some time, he there was a couple times he missed some open guys, and then on I don't know which drive it was, but it was very late in the game. He did get a little bit of time, and he threw 2 dimes. So like Drake, we all know Drake May is dripping with potential. He's dripping with talent, just waiting to be molded into a top flight elite quarterback, but wasn't able to show it on Sunday. He threw a couple of great passes, threw a touchdown to Mac Hollins, and that was an excellent pass. Probably the two passes he threw on that drive, that touchdown drive, were the 2 best passes that were thrown in the football game. Because on the other side, yes, Seattle won this game pretty easily, but it wasn't because of what the quarterback and what the passing game is doing. Now, I'm not going to turn this into a shit on Sam Darnold fest or say that we knew what he was going to do or he choked or folded. None of that, because he proved it. He proved it throughout this season, throughout the home stretch of the season, that he is a good quarterback. He is, a very good quarterback in this league, and one game isn't going to get us off of that stance. He did what he needed to do. No turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles. Was able to get out of a couple of pressures and get a little bit with his legs or throw the ball away or make a little bit of a play downfield. He missed, obviously he missed the wide open throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first quarter, which would have went 86 yards for a touchdown. Wish he could have got that, but I mean, he really didn't need to do much. And I spent the last couple weeks on the channel talking about complimentary football, and the Seahawks were perfectly complimentary on Sunday in the Super Bowl. Didn't need to do a whole lot offensively, kept it conservative, punted when they needed to punt, kicked the field goals when they had a chance, and the game never felt in jeopardy from the beginning. Like, truly and honestly, this game never felt like it was in doubt for Seattle. If you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, I'm sure you felt nice and calm and rested and relaxed this whole football game. If you're a New England Patriots fan, if you're Dave Portnoy, if you're Bill Simmons, if you're Kevin Wildes, you probably had a terrible afternoon, a terrible evening, because it was bad from the get-go. Patriots could not get anything going. The singular bright spot on the New England Patriots side was Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez, he can walk into the locker room and say, I didn't lose, y'all lost. Y'all lost. Because if it wasn't for Christian Gonzalez, score would have been worse. Score would have been 40-something to 13 without Christian Gonzalez on that field. So he's good. He's elite. He's one of the best corners in the league for sure. And we knew that already going into the game. But otherwise, it was a rough day. What does this mean for the Patriots going forward, for Drake May going forward? This defense was excellent. The defense was excellent. They rounded into form when they needed to round into form. But they should realize that this this was a hell of a start to Drake May's career. But you're gonna need a number one. You're gonna need a real number one. Real playmakers on the offensive side of the football. Drake is right there. Drake is ready to elevate. Drake is ready to lift his game up. And again, I'm gonna give him some grace on the performance in this football game because it wasn't just him that was bad. Most of the players on offense were bad in this football game, so I'm not just going to put it on him, all on his shoulders, because I wouldn't have expected him to be able to put the game on his shoulders against the Seattle defense. Um, a lot of people on the internet are calling Drake made the schedule in reference to their regular season schedule being so easy and their playoff path being a little, fortuitous. And I'm not, I think that's kind of funny, and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say anything negative about that. But as far as Drake May goes moving forward, he's gonna be in the top 10 quarterback conversations, even higher than top 10, and it's warranted. He was second in the NFL in MVP voting. He represented the AFC in the Super Bowl, so he's gonna be in those convos, and I absolutely think he should be, and he will. At least for me, he's gonna be in that top 10 conversation for me going into 2026 regular season. So I feel nothing but positive feelings about Drake May going forward. As far as the Patriots themselves, they're going to be around. Buffalo Bills are going to have real competition in that division now. Um, are they a Super Bowl contender? Perennially, maybe. They have they have their quarterback. So when you have your quarterback locked and loaded like Drake May is, you're always going to be in the running, in the mix. But can they sustain this year after year? I don't know. It just depends on how they attack the offseason. Like I said, they're gonna need some offensive playmakers, and that offensive line is going to have to figure out some things about themselves. Um, I believe Will Campbell can be a left tackle, but can he actually? As presently constituted, it probably wouldn't be a good idea for that to be the long term answer. But he can improve. Again, he was a rookie. He got hurt, later in the year and returned basically for the playoffs. So I'm also going to give him a little grace because he's rookie left tackle going up against superstar players, against the Chargers and the Texans and the Broncos, and then the Seattle defense is a unit full of unbelievably great players playing with absolutely unbelievable chemistry. So he was up against it. The Patriots themselves had maybe an easy road to get there, but Will Campbell specifically was going through hell and fire and brimstone to get to where he was at in the Super Bowl on Sunday. So I will give him a bit of grace for that. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes because the AFC conference is, no matter what it looked like this year, it kind of fell apart for all of the top teams. But the Chiefs will be back. They have Patrick Mahomes. The Bills are going to be right there with Josh Allen. Hopefully with Joe Brady bringing something a little bit new and fresh to that team. We'll see how that goes. Lamar Jackson is going to be in the mix with the Ravens. Bo Nix. Again, respect to Bo Nix, because what he showed against the Buffalo Bills, what he was able to do, he had one of the best performances of the playoffs at the quarterback position. So I got to put respect on Bo Nix's name. And if he didn't get hurt, in that game, if he was playing in the AFC Championship, this is probably a whole different ball game. So Denver is somebody that has to be reckoned with. We'll see year over year how can the Texans defense stay that elite, and if they are able to stay that elite, what the hell is CJ Stroud going to look like when you get to the postseason? What is Trevor Lawrence going to be able to do with, is Brian Thomas Jr. still going to be on the team? Is Travis Hunter still going to play both ways? Like what? There's a lot of questions to be asked, but if you're the Patriots, this is not an easy conference to be in. This is not a layup that you're going to be right back here again. Because there's heavy hitters, there's superstars, superheroes at quarterback in this conference, and it's just never that easy. It's never that simple. It's never you start over brand new every season. The default isn't AFC Championship game for the Patriots. Like the default is 0-0 tied with everybody else, and when the ball kicks off week one, what you doing? So can they get back? Yeah, they could. Will they? No idea. Too early to tell. On the other side, Seattle, can they get back? Yes. Obviously, they're going to be a contender for as long as they can keep this defense together playing like it is. They're going to lose. They're probably going to lose, what's his name, Tariq Woolen in free agency. We'll see who they keep, what they're able to do, if they're able to add any depth, or if they, what they do in the draft. Probably going to have to replace Ken Walker. They probably won't bring him back for what a Super Bowl MVP is going to require at running back right now. So we'll see how that goes. But as far as them as a team, they seem to be locked and loaded as a contender year over year, especially with how this defense is playing, and especially with how Sam Darnold has been playing. Clint Kubiak got hired by the Raiders, and he's going to be gone. So it's going to be very important what their offensive coordinator hire looks like to get the best out of Sam Darnold, because I think Clint Kubiak did an excellent job with Darnold. So we'll see, we'll see what Darnold is able to do. Again, I have to give him his respect. He did exactly what was needed, what was asked of him. So I'm not going to disrespect him and say anything negative, or say he's going to flop, or say he was a system quarterback or anything, because he made plays. He made plays when he needed to make plays. So, but again, we will see, because it's not a cakewalk. It's not a cakewalk in their division, let alone conference. The Rams are always going to be there. McVay and Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, that whole team. Because the Rams were the only team that figured out how to do anything against them offensively. So they're going to have to worry about the Rams every step of the way in 2026. The Niners can't possibly be as injured as they were again in 2026 as they were in 2025. But since they live next to or practice next to a nuclear power plant or whatever it is they got going on over there, they might be injured as much, but I doubt it. But they seem to be heavily injured every single season at this point. So who am I to say? And then Cardinals, I'm not gonna be too worried about the Cardinals. But then rest of the conference, Eagles, as pitiful as they went out against the Niners, they're still a great roster. Like they still have a good defense. They have to figure out the offensive coordinator position, but there's too much talent on that roster for them to not be a factor. We'll see how Jaden Daniels comes back healthy, what he's able to do with Washington. Obviously, the Lions, obviously Packers, the Bears. Seattle didn't have to see the Bears in this playoff run. I would have loved to see it. Would have loved to see what Caleb would have been able to do against that Seattle defense. But yeah, it won't be a layup for Seattle to come back to this point. I think they will, do pretty well coming up next year. But am I confident that they'll be back in the championship game or the Super Bowl? No. But again, it's a couple days. It's a couple days after the Super Bowl. Way too early. We don't know what's going to happen. What type of turnovers they're going to be. Who their OC is going to be. We don't know any of that. So really, really way too early to get into that. But I want to talk about who, after watching Sam Darnold hold up the Lombardi Trophy, who feels the worst? What person, what player, what fan base feels the worst watching Sam Darnold become a Super Bowl champion? Is it Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell? Because they let him go. They had him in the building. Presumably he wanted to stay, but they said, we don't think you're worth that much. We got 9. We got JJ McCarthy. We're gonna see how that works out. I'll tell you how it worked out. Poorly, badly, trash, unfortunate, didn't work out at all. Justin Jefferson on Radio Row talking about how they need a quarterback. It's not great. So in Minnesota, they cannot be feeling great at the moment. How do the New York Jets feel? How do Jets fans feel? It's been so long since he was a New York Jet. I can't imagine that they feel too bad about this or that they're really bent out of shape at all. They know. I'm sure Jets fans have to be a little bit self-aware. They know who they are. Like, I'm a Browns fan. I know what we do, how we are. So I'm sure Jets fans are the same way. So they can't be too bent up out of shape about it. If you're Geno Smith, how do you feel today? Because clearly, literally, this is a Super Bowl caliber roster because they just won the damn trophy on Sunday. If Seattle and Geno Smith come to a contract agreement, like if they were able to meet in the middle on their contract negotiations and he was their starting quarterback, does this Seattle team look the same? Is it as good? Is it worse? Is it better? Who's to say? Who's to say? Because again, I don't think the Geno experience with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly in Vegas last season was all on him. So I still think there's a good quarterback there. Would he have been able to lead this team like this to the Super Bowl? God, I don't know. But how do you feel knowing what happened and how it went? How do you feel if you're Geno Smith? If you're the Los Angeles Rams, if you're Matt Stafford, how do you feel today? You wake up and you look over on the nightstand, and you have an MVP trophy. something that you didn't have before, something that may solidify your Hall of Fame case in the future one day. But then you watched on Sunday and you saw this New England Patriots team and you saw the performance that they put up in the Super Bowl. I know you think that you should have been able to win. You could have been able to win and then go on to be Super Bowl champs. How are you feeling if you're the Los Angeles Rams? Probably sick. Probably sick. There's not really, anybody to blame for losing how they lost. It was a great game, two great teams, and in that situation, one team has to lose. So they just happen to be the losing team. But still, it's gotta be a little tough. Gotta be a little tough. And then last but not least, I'm wondering how do Broncos fans and Broncos players and people in the organization, how do they feel? How do they feel? Not necessarily because they would have beaten Seattle. If that Broncos team with Jared Stidham had been able to get to the Super Bowl, they would have gotten rocked by Seattle. But they have to be thinking, what if Bo Nix didn't get hurt on that one play? What if they ran a different play and Bo Nix was able to play in the conference championship game? What if they were able to make it there with Bo Nix in the Super Bowl? What's the outcome like? Is it different? Does Seattle, are they able to get something going against Seattle? We don't know. We'll never know. But I'm wondering how they're feeling today. If it was me, I would probably say Minnesota and the Minnesota Vikings fans, Kevin O'Connell, Justin Jefferson, probably feel the worst. I think they probably feel the worst because they had the guy and they didn't need to give him up. They didn't need to let him walk, and they did. And not only did they let him walk, but they got a guy that they feels like they don't even want to play. They don't even want to start him. They don't even want to move forward with that guy. And yeah, he was a first-year player. There wasn't a lot that was promising coming from JJ McCarthy. Early there was no film, and he was able to lead him to a comeback victory. But I mean, whenever he was in there, it was rough. It was really rough. It was really hard to watch. Some weeks, I know it was tough for Justin Jefferson to play and go through every week not knowing if he would be able to catch a pass. I know it was tough for me having him on my fantasy team. I'll tell you that much. But again, if I'm Minnesota, I'm feeling a little sick this morning. That I watched Sam Darnold hold up the Lombardi Trophy. But yeah, man, that's going to be it for this episode. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here. If you've been here all season, thank you. Unbelievable first year of the BJack 70 show. Unbelievable year of football. Just had a great time, and it's not over. It's not over. The videos will keep coming. We'll figure out stuff to talk about. We'll manufacture things to talk about on here. I'll still be here twice a week, Tuesday and Friday. I'll still be here. So if you want to be a part of it, you want to watch all the videos, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Just subscribe to the channel. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let somebody else know. Let a friend know. Let another friend know. that we're having fun over here. And we got the best analysis in the game over here. Not going to give you a whole lot of nerd talk, a whole lot of numbers. We're going to watch ball. We're going to talk ball. We're going to, it's a whole lot of eye test over here. So if you're into the eye test, you're in the right place. So go ahead, stay here, make sure you're following, make sure you're subscribed. And we'll see you later in the week. But until then, I'll see you.